So sticking around, this is TV47 Weekend Edition. Catherine Simaloi is on the sign language docket. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyiringita. Over 170 million users of TikTok in US, as I said earlier, are not using their TikTok right now because of a law that has been passed that has been upheld by the Supreme Court. So before we get into the whole conversation locally, let's try to understand the whole genesis of all this. Who said what and all that? First off, we begin with what the White House press secretary said about all this. And just to quote what she said, the administration, like the rest of the country, has awaited the decision just made by the US Supreme Court on the TikTok matter. President Biden's position on TikTok has been clear for months, including since Congress sent a bill in overwhelming bipartisan fashion to the president's desk. Karine Jean-Pierre, who's the White House press secretary, continues to say in the next slide that TikTok should remain available to Americans, but simply under American ownership or other ownership that addresses the national security concerns identified by Congress in developing this law. So that is according to the White House press secretary. Also continues to say that given the sheer fact of timing, this administration recognizes that actions to implement the law simply must fall to the next administration, which takes office on Monday, which is tomorrow. So that is according to the White House press secretary. Now let's take a look at what the U.S. Attorney General, that is Merrick Garland, also had to say about this. The court's decision enables the Justice Department to prevent the Chinese government from weaponizing TikTok to undermine America's national security. Garland continues to say on the next slide, authoritarian regimes should not have unfettered access to millions of Americans' sensitive data. The court's decision affirms that this act protects the national security of the United States in a manner that is consistent with the Constitution. So now let's take a look at what US President-elect, that is Donald Trump, said as of 6 p.m. today on his Truth Social platform. And I quote, "I'm asking companies not to let TikTok stay dark. I'll issue an executive order on Monday to extend the period of time before the law's prohibitions take effect, so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. The order will also confirm that there will be no liability for any company that helped keep TikTok from going dark before my order." Let's take a look at also what TikTok had to say about this. So the statements issued today, so that is now yesterday, January 18th, by both the Biden White House and the Department of Justice have failed to provide the necessary clarity and assurance to the service providers that are integral to maintaining TikTok's availability to over 170 million Americans. TikTok also goes on to say, unless the Biden administration immediately provides a definitive statement to satisfy the most critical service providers, assuring non-enforcement, unfortunately, TikTok will be forced to go dark on January 19th, which it has happened. So away from matters USA, now in Kenya, this is how much and how big TikTok is in the country. This is according to ByteDance. ByteDance is the Chinese parent company owning TikTok. 10.60 million. These are the users aged 18 plus and above. Now remember, and you and I know this, in Kenya, they are people who use TikTok who are 18 below. Now, considering this, last year, around June, you do remember a name like Bob Ndolo, do you? Well, he was a gentleman who raised eyebrows for a whole conversation that actually sparked quite the controversy about banning TikTok. And we do have the gentleman with us tonight. Just to help us understand, do we need to ban TikTok? Well, the petitions committee, chaired by Nicholas Mbai, said, no. We don't need to ban TikTok. What we need to do is regulating TikTok. And we ask you tonight, dear viewer, how then should we regulate TikTok? I'm seeing quite a lot of your feedback coming in on our numbers. 0793 267 279 is our WhatsApp number. Call us live 0795 045 864. And just to now bring him, the gentleman himself.